the Republicans, it's one thing to clap. They were shouting and talking and yelling at him, and he wasn't using a teleprompter. And I'm a great speaker in public. I'm better than on air because I do it so much I even forget I'm on air sometimes. So it's like I'm sitting around the kitchen table, start babbling. But if people, while you're trying to give a speech, are like, hey, say there, hey, Clint. I mean, they were right there yelling while he was trying to do a really nice piece. So I can't blame him for a little bit of meandering and things. But the fact is, you could tell there was no teleprompter there. He was looking down at a few notes, and I thought overall it was a maverick-type speech. But the fact that somebody like Clint Eastwood, who doesn't usually get involved in politics, is showing up, shows how concerned people are. And that's what's sad, is people think Romney's going to deliver them. I got news. He supported the carbon taxes, but I noticed on ClimateDepot.com, it's refreshing. He did have a little smart mouth comment at Obama saying he'll control sea levels, which, again, sea levels aren't rising. Last time I checked Google sea levels. Break that down.
Yeah, there was actually a drop for the first 2 years after Obama was in, and there's been a resumption. Sea levels have been rising since the end of the last ice age, but there's been no acceleration in sea level. There's absolutely nothing going on. The only scary thing about sea levels are these ridiculous models showing, based that everything's going to melt and all the sea ice, land-based ice is going to melt. We're going to have all this sea level. It's just not happening. And I have the Danish, not the Danish, but the European Space Agency has been monitoring sea level, not showing this, and also other European-based agencies are looking at this, and the NASA satellites, of course, show the drops. There's nothing going on in sea level. That's alarming. But what's interesting is the left's reaction to this. They said Romney was mocking, global warming. Well, first of all, if you look at the actual real estate development on the coast, people like Al Gore, by the way, isn't too far from the coastline, and many others who profess to be global warmers, they don't seem to be worried about their property. If people are so worried, wouldn't property values be dropping on the coastline? Well,
I mean, some islands and sandbars are getting bigger, others are getting smaller. That's always a process of change, but I do see it as a major victory that Romney's been forced to go from pushing global warming carbon taxes, which I know Bain would love, to get a little piece of the action on derivative-wise, to now making jokes about it. So in closing, what do you expect them to do outside of slap suits, threats, shutting down videos, trying to burn digital books? Outside of that call for authoritarianism, I think that's going to be the nail in their coffin now. This authoritarian attack, I think, is really going to turn the public from not liking them to really hating them. A, do you agree with that, Mark Moreno? Or B, what are the other attacks?
I think it backfires, but I will say this. Right now, the global warming movement is having a bit of a renaissance, and here's what I mean. They've been taking a beating for years, and now they have the Arctic ice, which again is a 30-year low based on satellite data, and they're now claiming, well, we have other measurements which show that this is unprecedented over 100 years, and we have scientists like Tim Ball, the Canadian in Canada, who study this, and all these, they're now claiming they have great records going back 100 years. It's not the case at all. These are piecemeal. They had old ship records. But the bottom line is nothing unprecedented in the Arctic, but they're using that. They're using a guy named Richard Muller, a Berkeley scientist, who never was a skeptic, is now claiming he was a skeptic, a converted skeptic. They're ignoring people like James Lovelock in the UK and German scientists who reversed themselves this year, from global warming believers to skeptics. But they're using... They're using this stuff, and they have a weak candidate in Romney. I fully expect if in the debate global warming comes up, Romney is going to back down on the science and not challenge it. And
well, yeah, there's so much money on this. In fact, you just said something key. I'm seeing this across the board now. They will have people who were never skeptics on any issue claim, oh, I woke up, I recant. Yeah, it's almost like when the church would torture somebody to say they were a witch or something. That's the new proof of it. That's their new PR stunt, I've been noticing.
Yeah, it's orchestrated propaganda. I mean, it's pure and simple. And even some of the global warming people admit that, but then they also admit that it's important for propaganda purposes to have someone like one Richard Muller. And it's silly, because I have lists of people, scientists, who reverse from the other side. Again, I mean, a man from Germany this year, Franz Verhoeven, and also James Lovelock, the UK. It just outnumbered. It actually did a report mocking the idea that the media was so excited about one scientist. But you got the Arctic ice, You got this, and you got the extreme storms. What they've done now, and I don't know the effect yet on the public, but anytime there's a bad storm, again, bad things will happen with global warming. Well, guess what? Bad things are happening. Oh, it must be global warming. So they're really pounding that.
Oh, well, you see them when a dust storm blows in. That's always happened. They say, hey, give the UN money. You know, they'll fix it. In closing here, I'm living under these people. I'm living under their oppression. I'm living under their taxation. You know, where the mayor says, you're going to pay more power, it's for the earth. Well, no, it's for insiders to make double the money selling me less power for more. I mean, it's outrageous. And to watch poor people getting hurt the worst by these Malthusian scumbags makes me very angry. I am seeing a huge pushback locally, though, against Agenda 21. What do you expect him to do there? Because, I mean, they are hitting the panic button, as you've seen in the news, going, oh, my God, they're waking up to our takeover. What do you expect to happen there? Because the real battle I see is at the local level.
Yes, well, I think a lot of this right now, if Obama's reelected and the EPA is basically unleashed in a second term, we already have the head of the EPA at UN planning meetings that talk about Agenda 21. This is going to be coming down, trickling through every local community at a much more robust way that it has in the past, because they know they need to start acting. If they can't do it in an Obama second term, they're not going to be able to do it. For a long time to come. This is one of their best opportunities. So what they're going to try to do, they're going to try to do heavy regulation through the EPA. They're going to shut down coal plants. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, but they're already taken away. The American SUV is now dead statutorily, according to the federal books. Obama just raised the EPA gas mileage standards beyond anything that an EPA could ever hope to accompany. And this is going to be again, this was a shot fired without the public even having any clue this is going on. And it's going to get worse and worse as we go forward with these kind of things happening. The new standards, by the way, by 2025, 54 miles per gallon is what the fuel efficiency standard is going to be set by the EPA. And we're going to all be driving around little tiny electric cars, which are death boxes, because as you reduce the weight of cars, you increase the fatalities and the injury rate. And
well, let me expand on that. It phases in, but as you said, within just a few years, most SUVs, and I've got 3 children, my wife, I'm going somewhere, I fill the car up. I mean, around here, the environmental cultists who could care less about the environment drive these little bitty tiny cars, and they will attack your SUV. They'll stab the tires. They'll knock your windows out. They brag about it. You know, I mean, it's not as bad as Colorado where they set fires and burn down ski resorts, but they are just these horrible little demons. And I've got the article actually right here that you were mentioning. EPA issues new fuel efficiency standard. I mean, they're shutting our country down because they hate wealth, they hate prosperity, and they want to teach us you're not going to build anything. It's all going to be out of a government job. I think that's what probably finally defeated Obama, was that you didn't build that statement. So, Mark, you didn't build your website. You didn't get your college degree. You didn't have your family. In fact, your parents didn't conceive you. Government did. You were raised in a test tube, I guess, like Aldous Huxley wants you to be.
Don't laugh at that. A few years ago, in Popular Science magazine, there's a movement that people are openly talking about people not being allowed to have children, and the quote was willy-nilly. The idea is that given the overpopulation and our resource scarcity, that you're going to have to apply to the government in order to have children. I mean, this is, can you think of China? There's a reason Nancy Pelosi went to China to say that we need a complete inventory in every aspect of our lives. That movement's been afoot for years, since Paul Ehrlich, who still wins awards, by the way, the author of The Population Bomb, the most discredited eugenicist scientist in the country. But there's still a movement that people don't think you should be allowed to have kids like that, or certainly you should be punished.
Well, there's not still a movement. They're all over the news. It's in cartoons. It's in, I mean, it's in TV. I mean, I agree with you. And who co-authored the book Ecoscience with him? None other than John P. Holdren, who says, let's drug the water to sterilize people. I mean, these are just flaming control freak weirdos.
And I was just watching a movie with my children. There's some Disney film with Indians, a few years old. Can't remember the name at the moment, but
Pocahontas.
It wasn't something like, it was a lesser known movie, but the whole point of it was you can't portray modern religion, Christianity, Judaism, anything in movies today, especially kids films, But somehow this Disney film had all this Indian religion, mysticism, the earth, the winds,
Gaia,
and it was really promoting all this to children.
Avatar is like Native Americans on a distant planet. I mean, they got the horses. That's all it is.
But you can never have that kind of promotion of Christianity, but it's okay when it's sort of a tribal, earth-centered worship. That's what the kids are being taught. And there's nothing really wrong with the movie, but it definitely was promoting this form of spiritualism, mysticism, whatever you want to call it, to kids in very heavy ways. And it's all related to the essentially the earth worship, which is, again, why it's so amazing. I mentioned James Lovelock. He is the inventor, the founder, the scientist who came up with Gaia, the idea that the earth is a living, breathing organism, and from that, people came out with Mother Earth, and they worship the earth, all sorts of things. It's amazing that this guy can't even swallow man-made global warming hysteria. He's also opposed to wind power. He calls wind power one of the greatest follies of the 21st century.
Well, because it's a scam. But, I mean, here's the issue. There's nothing wrong with caring about the earth, the environment, all that. They use the fake environmental movement, from my research, to avoid all the real environmental issues and real things that are going on out there, and that's what's so frustrating. And it's not just that it's this earth worship. All of it is teaching us that we're ugly, we're crap, humans are a parasite. Humans are scum. And I, for one, am sick of it. Well, that was an extensive interview with Mark Moreno of ClimateDepot.com. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I know you're a busy guy, and thank you for your courage speaking out against these authoritarians.
Thank you very much. No problem. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, there goes Mark Moreno, ladies and gentlemen, and that concludes this edition of InfoWars Nightly News. I'm going to tell you something, folks. We're winning the fight for hearts and minds, but the authoritarians run the bureaucracies, they run the governments, they run the system, and they want to shut us up with the Cybersecurity Act and with all these threats of lawsuits and the rest of it. And the answer to these bullies is letting them know that we're not going to shut up. We don't just believe what we're saying is true. We do the research, and we try to put out the most accurate info. Does that mean we've got everything right? No. But we know damn well that Al Gore has been deceiving people that polar bears can't swim. We know that paying him carbon taxes while shipping the jobs to China, where they have no carbon restrictions, is not helping us. All right, this is out of control. This is wrong. This is authoritarianism, and we are in danger. So be sure and support ClimateDepot.com and their sponsors, InfoWars.com, PrisonPlanet.com. Buy our books, videos, ProPure water filters discounted. If you're watching this on YouTube or other places, get a 15-day free trial or get a $5.95 a month membership at PrisonPlanet.tv. You get 6 memberships for the price of 1. All of this is so important that you financially support those of us going head up against these tyrants. Okay? PrisonPlanet.tv. Lord willing, if they don't shut us down, we'll see you back here on Monday night and on the radio 4 to 6 Sunday, and, of course, the weekday show. God bless you all of you that care about liberty. Let's stand together against these tyrants.